Shekinah shows up in like this, I don't know, this tight outfit and these two boots that literally look like she's got two Pomeranians stuck to her feet. I'm waiting to see if they're going to start barking.
3 reality TV moments are causing total chaos. First up, Rebecca mocked Shekinah's giant fluffy boots, comparing them to barking Pomeranians. But the joke backfired fast, with viewers accusing Rebecca of being jealous, obsessed, and proving Shekinah's claim that the group constantly targets her. Meanwhile, Catie's painfully cold meeting with her parents has fans asking whether they are finally setting healthy boundaries or simply handing responsibility for their troubled daughter over to Josh. Is he becoming her husband or her full-time caretaker? And finally, Asha supposedly convinced an entire group to fly to Nigeria for a casual vacation that perfectly turned into a destination wedding. Viewers are not buying it. Was the trip secretly planned months earlier, or did production arrange everything? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Let's start with Rebecca's fashion roast and why the audience turned it right back on her. Rebecca thought she was roasting Shekinah's boots, but the comment section decided the real fashion emergency was Rebecca's obsession. It all started when TLC posted a short clip from 90 Day, The Last Resort, with the caption, "Guard dogs, but make it fashion." Shekinah arrived at an outdoor gathering in a fitted black outfit, patterned tights, a white fleece jacket, and a pair of enormous fluffy black boots that were impossible to ignore. Rebecca immediately looked into the camera and compared the boots to two Pomeranians stuck to Shekinah's feet. Then she joked that she was waiting for them to start barking. As a simple fashion roast, it was sharp, funny, and definitely memorable. But Rebecca did not stop with the boots. She said the look was perfect for Shekinah because Shekinah is always complaining that the group attacks her, so apparently she needed 2 guard dogs around her ankles. And that extra comment completely changed the tone. Suddenly, this was not just Rebecca saying the boots looked ridiculous, she was also dismissing Shekinah's feelings about being targeted by the group. That is why so many viewers felt the joke sounded less playful and much more personal. The comment section quickly turned against Rebecca. Some fans said Shekinah seemed to be living inside her head rent-free. Others flipped the barking joke around and argued that Rebecca was the one making all the noise. Plenty of viewers even defended the outfit, saying Shekinah looked good and that the boots were fun, bold, and completely on brand for her. Then came the hypocrisy accusations. Viewers brought up Rebecca's own dramatic styling choices, filters, and cosmetic work, arguing that she was in no position to attack another woman's appearance so aggressively. Their point was not that Rebecca could never criticize an outfit. It was that someone living in a glass house probably should not be launching a Pomeranian-shaped missile at somebody else's wardrobe. Of course, not everyone thought Rebecca crossed the line. Some viewers agreed that the boots looked like furry slippers, cartoon shoes, or something borrowed from an old comedy movie. Others said people were overanalyzing a simple joke and that Rebecca was only saying what everyone else was thinking. And honestly, both things can be true. The boots can be completely ridiculous, and Rebecca can still look far too emotionally invested in humiliating Shekinah. The biggest irony is that Rebecca mocked Shekinah for feeling attacked while actively criticizing her clothes, personality, and victim narrative in the same breath. So instead of disproving Shekinah's complaint, Rebecca may have accidentally helped confirm it. Fans now seem divided between 2 versions of the moment. Either Rebecca delivered an iconic fashion roast, or she used humor to disguise how deeply bothered she really is by Shekinah. Stick around because the next family confrontation is far more uncomfortable than a pair of furry boots. Catie's emotionally frozen meeting with her parents has viewers wondering whether they are finally setting boundaries or quietly handing their daughter over to Josh. The most disturbing part of Catie's family meeting was not the argument, it was how completely her parents seemed to have checked out. Her father sat looking downward, speaking carefully about his belongings, while her mother stared ahead with a tight, frozen expression. There was no emotional reunion, no visible reassurance, and almost no warmth. That cold atmosphere immediately sparked a major debate among viewers. Were Catie's parents finally establishing boundaries with an adult daughter after years of chaos, or were they quietly transferring responsibility for her to Josh? Many fans saw two exhausted parents who had reached their limit. Their expressions seemed to say, "We did everything we could and nothing worked." But other viewers questioned what everything actually included, especially after the conversation turned toward the family's heavy reliance on religion. Faith itself is not the issue. Religion can offer community, structure, and genuine emotional support. The concern raised by viewers was whether prayer, church, and obedience may have been treated as replacements for therapy, medical care, or honest conversations about Catie's behavior. Online discussions included speculation about trauma, addiction, autism, and other mental health concerns. None of those conditions can be diagnosed through edited television footage, and fans should be careful about presenting guesses as facts. Still, viewers can notice patterns, especially when someone appears unable to regulate emotions, maintain relationships, or handle ordinary responsibilities. Some fans also believe Catie may have spent years being labeled as the difficult child. When one family member is constantly treated as the problem, every mistake becomes proof that the label was correct. Eventually, people may stop asking why that person is struggling and simply decide that she is impossible. But the most uncomfortable part of this storyline may be what it means for Josh. Several viewers felt Catie's parents appeared relieved that someone else was willing to take responsibility for her. That does not necessarily mean they believe Catie and Josh have a healthy relationship. It may simply mean they see Josh as the person who will manage the crisis from now on. And that is an enormous burden to place on a spouse. Marriage should be a partnership, not a transfer of custody between exhausted parents and a husband who thinks love can solve everything. Josh can support Catie, but he cannot become responsible for her entire emotional stability, especially if she refuses accountability or professional help. At the same time, Catie is still an adult. Whatever happened during her childhood may explain some of her behavior, but it does not excuse every decision she makes now. She remains responsible for how she treats Josh, whether she respects boundaries, and whether she seeks the help she may need. That is why this situation doesn't have one easy villain. Catie may be both wounded and responsible. Her parents may be both exhausted and emotionally distant. Josh may be loving while also moving dangerously close to becoming her full-time caretaker. Fans are now divided between seeing two parents who finally reached their limit and two parents who helped create the crisis before quietly walking away from it. Don't go anywhere, because the next story raises questions about a very different kind of family planning. Asha's supposedly spontaneous Nigeria vacation somehow became a perfectly coordinated destination wedding, and viewers are convinced the real organizer may have been production. Asha's supposedly spontaneous Nigeria vacation looked less like a family getaway and more like a wedding production hiding in plain sight. The moment her relatives and friends appeared together, viewers started asking the obvious question: how did this many adults suddenly coordinate passports, flights, time away from work, and international travel without knowing something major was happening? The explanation was basically that Asha invited everyone on vacation and they came. But that answer barely scratches the surface. A trip to Nigeria is not a last-minute drive to the beach. People need valid passports, possible visas, expensive tickets, accommodations, time off, health planning, and enough notice to reorganize their lives. That is why the audience immediately became suspicious. Some viewers wondered whether production helped arrange or pay for the trip. Others joked that Asha must have supernatural influence over her family because apparently one invitation was enough to make an entire group cross an ocean at the same time. Those are fan theories, not confirmed facts, but the level of skepticism shows how incomplete the storyline felt. The biggest problem is that the show appears to want two versions of reality at once. It wants Asha to seem impulsive and unpredictable, while also asking viewers to accept flawless international logistics as completely spontaneous. Chaos and perfect scheduling do not usually arrive on the same flight. Even the group's reactions raise questions. Nobody seemed genuinely shocked about why they were there. There was no major panic, no furious demand for answers, and no sense that these people had accidentally stumbled into a wedding. The atmosphere felt more like guests arriving for an event they were prepared to attend, even if they did not know every detail. That doesn't prove everyone knew about the wedding. It is possible the family was told this would be an important gathering without being given the full reason. It is also possible Asha regularly plans group trips and her relatives are used to following her lead. But either explanation makes more sense than a dozen people independently clearing their schedules for a mysterious vacation with almost no advance planning. Another possibility is that Asha was simply the face of the invitation, while production handled the machinery behind it. Travel coordinators, schedules, releases, hotels, and filming arrangements are not exciting television, so those details may have been edited out. Reality shows love the emotional surprise, but they rarely show the emails and expense approvals that make the surprise possible. And that's where viewers feel manipulated. Production assistance would not be shocking. The problem is presenting a heavily organized event as effortless spontaneity and expecting the audience not to notice the missing pieces. Fans now seem divided between believing Asha pulled off the most impressive family trip in franchise history or believing the wedding was planned long before the camera sold it as a surprise. Either way, the real drama is not who attended, it's how much planning happened before anyone said the word vacation.